Hey dreamers, happy Friday. Today we are going to take a look at a character turnaround for Dreamside, and I'll explain what that means a little bit more as the video progresses. But first I just want to talk a little bit about what we're looking at here. I've got 4 drawings from Dreamside that take place at different times in the story. Now, I come from an animation background, and in animation, it's very important that you achieve character consistency drawing by drawing. And that's because if you have a suddenly different drawing in a series of animation drawings, there can be a sudden pop or a sort of an odd kind of almost a glitch, it looks like, in the way that the character is moving. And that can hurt that suspension of disbelief that's so imperative for animation to work really well and for us to believe that it's a living, breathing character. With 3D animation, this is obviously less of a problem because you're moving around a consistently formed model already. But for 2D, it's important to keep it consistent. Now, this does extend into my illustration work for Dreamside to a degree because I am drawing a character in many drawings, and even though they're separated a little bit, it's important that she looks consistent. So if you take a look here, you can see that her design, in particular focus on her hair, changes quite a bit as the drawings move on. I'm not really too upset about this because I think that you can still tell that it's Sarah, and so for the needs of the story, I think it still works. But one of the problems that I run into is every time I try and make a new drawing of Sarah, I'm still sort of struggling a little bit to define the right look for her. And the part of this is because I don't know which one of these styles I want to make this new drawing look like, but it's also because I really haven't totally defined that iconic look for the character. And so that's why it's important to do what's called a 2D turnaround. And this is basically a map of the character's visual description at a multitude of different angles. Okay, so what you can see here is I have a front, a 3/4 front, a profile, a 3/4 back, and finally a back view. And so what's happening here is when you make an illustration of a character, say from the front view, maybe I'll draw a few lines in the hair or something that will look decorative and it will look very attractive. But then when I turn the character just a little bit, that decorative element now has to move in another dimension. Okay, and so by twisting the character around like this and trying to draw her, it forces me to figure out the 3-dimensional nature of every form that makes up her figure. So that's why a model sheet is so useful. It basically educates you as much as possible on the design of your own character and helps you keep the character consistent. So this is a really good idea for anybody who is designing a new character to do so that you can make sure that you are not struggling as you try and make new drawings. And of course, this is the case whether you're working on animation or illustration for a book or whatever. And it's also very useful for 3D art. And in fact, when a character is modeled in 3D, frequently this sort of character turnaround will be produced first as a reference for the 3D artist. That's because it's a little bit easier to make changes in the drawing. In particular with 3D, it's very important that you define the character not only through orthographic views, but these 3/4 views are particularly useful because they sort of break down the more flat views of the front, side, and back and help you really bring the character into 3D form. With these orthographic views, sometimes it just doesn't give enough description to the 3D artist. And so when you are producing some sort of a reference for a 3D model, do consider doing the 3/4 views as well. And of course, the more drawings that you do with this, just the more description you're going to get. So you can also consider doing, views from above or below and just get as much understanding of your character as you can. Of course, I've done this model sheet very late in my production, which is a little bit weird, but one of the benefits is that I've had so much practice with the character that now I feel that I can make a really strong design for the sheet. Okay, so I hope that this was a useful bit of information for you. I really think that this is one of the most important and best things that you can do if you are designing your own book and your own characters to try and nail down the design as much as possible, and do it as early as you can, because it'll really help you out. So please leave your comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.